All right, this video is for those of you that are using Photoshop. Now, you may be using Photoshop on a Windows or a Mac-based computer, so I'll try to incorporate both skill sets or quick commands whenever I use any of those. We're going to start off by creating a new, and we're going to change our pixels over to inches. We're just going to do an 8.5 by 11. So pretty standard vertical looking image. And since we are not working on a Chromebook, we should be using some sort of full-fledged computer. We are going to try to use this resolution up at 300 versus 72. 72 would be more like online presentation kind of stuff or images. We're looking for 300 resolution, which is going to give us a little bit better appearance. RGB color set is fine. Everything else on here looks good. So let's go ahead and create our image. Now, Photoshop's going to automatically give us a background picture, but we do need to bring in our own image to trace. So I'm just going to go in here under my Finder, and that's where I find my image. You may have like a little, if you're on Windows base, I think it's got a little Manila folder down there. So open that up, find the picture that you're going to use, and we're going to drag and drop that in here. All right, now that we got this thing squared away, depending on how the orientation of your image looks, you could kind of move it around or stretch it out. If you hit Command T on a Mac or Control T on a PC, you can then bring up the constraints and you can start making it larger or smaller. If you like what you've done, you can hit the check mark. And if you don't like that, then you can hit the cancel. I'm just going to use my move tool, and I'm going to bring this over to the far right since my imagery kind of tends to hang in this portion right here. All right, let's take a look at our layers. We've got our example photo that we're going to be using. You're using your own photo that you took. We've got our background layer, which is going to stay there. And then what we're going to do is add a blank new layer here. Let's create a new layer. And if you want to, you can retitle it. Just double click on the word layer 1. You can title it outline or whatever makes you happy so that you know that this is what you are using. All right, so we're going to click on that. We're going to click outline here. And whenever we've got this going, we can now start our path of painting. So let's go to our brush, and we're going to set a couple of things up. First of all, we need to bring the pixel size down. And we're going to take the hardness of that brush and we're going to bring it up to 100%. Now, Photoshop does offer a lot of different types of brushes available to you. We've got different pressurized and stuff like that. But we're going to stick pretty basic for this go around. We're just going to use the standard round brush. There are a lot of different types of brushes that you could pull up. The internet has plenty that you can download as well, but we're not going to get too crazy for this project. I'm going to zoom in with Control Plus on a PC or Command Plus on a Mac. And I've got my pixel weight right now for my brush set at 15. So what I'm going to do just real quick is I'm just going to draw a couple of lines that mimic my hair. And they look terrible, right? But I'm going to zoom that out and just look at the line weights and see how that looks. And that looks pretty good for the most part. I could bring those down maybe to about 12 or 10 pixels. I'm going to hit Command Z just to go backwards and zoom back in here. But what you are going to be playing around with a lot is this thing right here, the smoothing character. Luckily on Photoshop, it works pretty good versus Photopea. But what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to create some nice lines that kind of mimic the areas where we are working. Now, I will say, you can see here, I kind of did this little zigzag pattern, and I'm definitely cartooning myself a lot compared to what we would see in an actual like lifestyle drawing. But for the most part, this is looking pretty solid, right? I'm not going to go in and verbatim like trace this thing and make it look perfect. If I don't like what I've done, I can simply hit Control Z or Command Z, and that looks kind of good. If I don't like what I've done, say I really enjoy this entire line, but I don't like what happened here at the end. Well, that is the beauty of working on layers. I can go in with my eraser, handy dandy little eraser. I'm going to make sure that my eraser is set at 100% hardness, and I'm just going to erase away a little bit, and that looks a lot better. Okay, you can be as detailed as you want to. For now, I'm just looking for a basic illustration to kind of start us off. We will have another segment later in this unit where we go in and add more detail. But for the most part, I just want you to outline your person and make it look as good as possible. Now, probably this not looking great. All right, there we go. The other nice thing is, again, if you're messing up and you don't like some things you're doing, switch over to that eraser, go fix them, and come back. All right. We've got really good tracking going on with this smoothing character. Sometimes you do have to bring that down a little bit, but it looks like for the most part, this is doing a really, really super duper job on outlining the stuff. I'm also using a mouse, so that is helping me out a little bit. I know some of you are going to be using a trackpad, or maybe you have a Wacom tablet, but for the most part, I've gotten really used to using a mouse this last year, and I find it works pretty well. Everyone's different, so there's no right or wrong here. Just try your best, get as far as you can, and let me know if you all have questions or need assistance. I will say one more thing before we dismiss here. That looks terrible. When you go to save your work, you're going to be turning in one type of file and you will be keeping another type of file. So if we go save as, you will want to make sure that you save a Photoshop version, and that is one that you will continue to go to over and over and over for working and continuing. And then to submit each portion of your assignment. So this one, the portion is going to be the outline. Make sure that you turn that in as a JPEG. Okay, so when you save that, it will flatten everything, and I can read those images real fast. All right, let me know if you all have questions.